Lawyer Michael Avenatti and his lawyers argue in court that he's somehow the victim of a political witch hunt, but the charges against him say otherwise. This guy is a bottom feeder of all. Now, in fairness to you and me, we've been after this guy a long time.
Right.
We've been talking about what a fraud he is for a long time. Matter of fact, didn't he write you one time and say, get off my back, or something worse than that?
Yeah, he had a very colorful message that he sent to me on Twitter right before blocking me, so I couldn't respond.
Yeah.
But basically, all I did was call him out. He was, fretting about politics of the day, and I said, hey, listen, you probably need to focus more on your cases here because you've been charged in multiple different states for multiple different crimes. Why don't you just back off the politics of the day?
Quick rundown: fraud, embezzlement, perjury, tax evasion, extortion. Can I go on forever? And these are real cases.
Yeah.
This doesn't have anything to do with Trump. It had nothing to do with Mitch McConnell. Has nothing to do with Republicans. Look, just to put it in perspective, one case where he stole multi-millions of dollars from a blind paraplegic that he represented, ended up buying a jet airplane.
Right. He stole money, allegedly, according to the indictments.
Yeah.
But he stole money from this.
Grand jury, some of this is grand jury.
Right.
Yeah.
From the mentally ill paraplegic client to buy a private jet.
Yeah.
I mean, that is about as cartoon villainly level as you could possibly get. But here's the thing. His lawyer last week goes into court for the second time and says, listen, my client, Michael Avenatti, everybody knows who he is because he's the huge anti-Trump guy. And now he's being targeted with all these cases. And to her credit, the judge here said, you're telling me that Bill Barr is behind this and that he's a lapdog for Trump. And whether or not he's a lapdog for Trump, that doesn't matter. But this is an independent court.
Right.
And your client has been accused of some very serious things, and I don't understand why you're even bringing up Bill Barr's name.
It's not just in one court,
right?
Don't you see? We're not just talking about one court.
It's coast to coast.
It's coast to coast. And this is a guy that, look, he runs his firm into bankruptcy. They declare bankruptcy. Of course, the media, MSNBC, CNN, he becomes their darling. Okay, they don't do any due diligence on this guy. All they got to do is take a quick look at his background, and they understand what we have here is a fraud coming on TV talking about the President of the United States, who may indeed be a fraud also. But the point being, it's the way that corporate media works. It's rather than doing their job and saying, let's do some due diligence here. He's a great example of that, isn't he?
Well, he is. And to be honest, I think the media outlets do need to come forward and say, listen, we screwed up. We elevated this guy.
Yes,
the only reason anybody knows what his name is outside of the legal profession or the people he swindled is because we put him on the air, because all we liked was that he was tough and he was saying bad things about Trump.
So all the networks say, oh, man, this is our guy. They don't do any due diligence. They don't spend any time talking to Daniels about the fact that he forged her signature on a letter and told the folks that were on a book deal to send money to his bank account. I mean, and so all it takes is a little bit of looking,
Right. Well, and the worst part is, too, they hyped him up to the point he was legitimately considering running for president.
Oh, yeah.
He was absolutely talking about it in the media, putting the feelers out there, had visited some of the early voting states, and it's all based on the media propping him up because he didn't like Donald Trump.
We had people coming on our site, and I know you saw this. He'd come out and he'd talk about, what a drag it is to have Donald Trump as president. A lot of us agree with that. But so on our site, it would be Avenatti for president.
Yeah.
Avenatti for president. And it was these progressives who don't, take a minute, man. Take a minute. And rather than following the shiny thing, take a minute and take a look at what we're talking about. Because as you watch this guy's history unfold right before our eyes, this is pretty scary stuff.
Well, and you and I have been in this industry long enough to where when we saw him come out, we knew. You can tell who these people are. When it's somebody who's just desperate to be on that TV and say, book me, I'm powerful, I'm better than this guy. That's who he was from the start, and it was obvious to anybody who spent any time in the legal profession. This wasn't about the law. This wasn't about accountability. This was Avenatti pumping Avenatti because that's what he does.
Has he attacked Daniels now that she's on to him? That
he said it's not true. He tries to act like, oh, she's making this up. She wants more money.
Yeah.
But look, this guy, again, it's all alleged so far. He's going down. The trial's next April. And I don't think he stands a chance.
No, I think the guy's toast, to tell you the truth. Farron Cousins, thank you for joining me, okay?
Thank you.